Hey there everyone, this is Vicky and welcome to another episode of the 10-Minute Tarot Tutor. Today I want to talk about one of the traps of reading tarot that I have fallen into, as well as a lot of my friends who love reading tarot, and this is the good card, bad card phenomenon. What I mean by this is when we see certain cards appear in our spreads, we look at them and we automatically jump to the conclusion that this is a situation that is either 100% positive and good and full of light, and there is no harm that this card can bring us, or we, on the flip side, jump to the conclusion that this is 100% bad or negative situation that we can't really find any good in. And the reason why we want to avoid this kind of thinking is because, well, one, no tarot card is 100% good or bad. And an example of a situation in which we need to develop a more well-rounded understanding of certain cards in our decks is, let's say I'm doing a reading for myself and I get a card like the Sun falling into the position of the cons or drawbacks in my spread of a situation. Now normally we see this card and we think of happiness, we think of a sunny situation or a situation in which the truth has been completely revealed to us. But if I'm getting this card in a position that suggests that the Sun is actually acting as a drawback, then what could we possibly say about this card beyond, well, maybe the Sun suggesting that there is no negative situation or there is no negativity. It's probably not the case because in real life there is good and bad in almost every situation, and that is the same kind of attitude that we want to take to our tarot cards because tarot cards do mirror real life. So, on the good side, the Sun can indicate enlightenment, it can indicate the truth coming to the surface, it can indicate happiness and positivity as well as growth because the Sun is a source of energy that allows us to grow. But if I saw the Sun in the position of a detriment, how I would read this card is that it's an indication of maybe being burnt out, that you've overdone it, that you've overexpended your energy. Think about how you feel after spending way too much time in the sun. You can get sunburnt. There can be, you're just drained of energy because, too much sun will do that to you. So by training ourselves to see the good and the bad of every tarot card, especially the cards that we tend to view as 100% good or bad, we arrived at a more nuanced, fuller understanding of that card's meaning, which is a good thing. And this also, when we are doing actual readings for querents, and we get a lot of cards that seem overwhelmingly negative, we don't want to leave our querents with the impression that there's nothing they can do, that they have no power. And we also want to relay a sense of hope, because it's really hope that keeps us going in many situations. So it's good to train ourselves in situations in which we see negative cards appear in our readings, to think about, well, what are some of the benefits of that negative situation? What are opportunities for growth that can come out of that card? And on the flip side, when we see a lot of good cards come up, we want to think about, well, what are the downsides of that positive situation, and how can we bring a realistic approach to what that card is saying? So I'm going to share some examples of bad cards and good cards that we tend to see and automatically jump to the conclusion that, wow, this is going to be a really bad experience, a painful experience for me. The first card that I chose is the Three of Swords. Now, pretty much nobody wants to see this card come up in a reading because it's an indication that there may be some confusion with the clouds in this card, or it definitely indicates a heartbreak or some kind of disappointment or pain and suffering. So we tend to view these things as bad because nobody wants to go through these difficult moments in life. But if we think about what are the good aspects of the Three of Swords, and in what way could this card bring positivity into your life? Well, my one response to this is that yes, everybody experiences heartbreak in their life, and it's never a pleasant experience. But think about the growth that you that you achieve as a result of being disappointed and having your heart break from time to time. I know for myself, every time I've been disappointed in a relationship, that it was always an opportunity for me to, one, arrive at a fuller understanding of how the human heart works, and I think that's kind of an important lesson to learn if you want to develop any kind of emotional intelligence. And also, this card has taught me how to be a little bit more careful and discriminating in terms of the people whom I actually allow into my heart, and drawing boundaries, and knowing who to let in, who to keep out, I feel is a very important thing if your heart is particularly vulnerable. So I would say that's a positive aspect of the Three of Swords that we want to think about when this comes up in a reading, either for ourselves or other people. Another example is, I'll do another negative card, is the Seven of Swords. Now, this is a card that traditionally speaks to thievery, to deceit, not being completely honest, doing stuff behind someone's back. But let's say we got this card in the position of what are some of the benefits of your situation? What are some of the good things? And what will we say about the Seven of Swords when it's indicating something that's good that's coming into our life? Well, I would say the Seven of Swords is a card about, when it's good, it can be about strategy, about looking after yourself, which there are times in life in which we need to do that. And it can also be about white lies sometimes, telling an untruth so that we can protect people or save some people from having hurt feelings. I think, there are times in life where it's okay not to reveal the entire truth for the sake of, keeping someone happy, which is not always a bad thing. So that's the good and the bad of the Seven of Swords. Now let's take a look at what I regard to be another positive card, and for me that's the Empress. I really love seeing the Empress. Not only is she my soul card, but I often associate her with growth, with new life, bringing something into the world, creating a project and manifesting something. And we also can attribute, being comfortable, luxury, having abundance, those are all things that are associated with this card. If the Empress came up in the position to indicate a drawback of a situation, maybe one thing that we can think about with regard to the Empress is this idea of being overprotective, over-mothering. The Empress is the mama hen of the tarot. She is charged the task of bringing new life into the world and then protecting it until it grows to its full fruition. So we can think about a bad mom, we can think about someone who does not want to release her child into the real world, goes out of her way to protect and shield her child from all kinds of harm, and not enabling that child to learn from their own mistakes. So with that, today's tarot tip is to go through your deck and take out the cards that when they come out, you tend to see them as either being completely good or completely bad, and then take out your journal or a piece of paper and make a list of the positive or negative, the flip side qualities that card can have. I already did this with my own deck, and I'll share some examples of bad cards that I came up with that I think are pretty common to all tarot readers. The first, the Five of Swords. Most people don't like seeing this card. The Moon, I think, is another card that people tend to fear when it comes up in a reading. The Ten of Swords, for sure, I think, is a card that a lot of people have trouble finding the positive in this card. The Tower, for sure, no one wants to see this card in a reading. The Hangman, I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with this card. I personally like this card, but I know a lot of people who see the Hangman and they don't like the thought of being someone hanging from a tree, or they don't like seeing the image of this card. It makes them uncomfortable. What else? The Devil, Death, and the Nine of Swords. I think these, for me, the cards I tend to see as being the bad cards, quote unquote. What are some good cards? For me, it's the Nine of Cups. I tend to see this as overwhelmingly positive, but it does have negative aspects to it as well. Everybody wants to see the Lovers, but the Lovers is not always 100% positive. And the World. Those are cards that I tend to see as good. So, with that, try out the exercise, go through your deck, split up your cards into what are the good cards and the bad cards, and then make some notes for yourself so that when they come up in a reading indicating the opposite of what you think that card is supposed to denote, you know what to say and you have a fuller understanding of what that card means. Okay, that's all on my end for today. And if you like what you saw here, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, if you want to book a reading with me, you can find me at eternalathena.com. And I will catch you guys later.